Stay tuned and let's take a look at this Marvel Legends X-Men retro carded Outback Storm. Pow and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. And remember now you can hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. Today we are taking a look at possibly the last X-Men retro carded Target exclusive of 2025. As in front of us today, we have Outback Storm. So all of the X-Men retro cards this year have been exclusive to Target if you're in America. Of course, I'm in the UK, so they're all available in the places you buy your Marvel Legends. So let's recap, shall we? We got Professor X in his Savage Land jumpsuit, X-Factor Jean Grey missing those yellow boots, an upgraded Weapon X, upgraded Mystique, and then today we have Outback era Storm, which is a version of her costume we need in the Legends line, but you would be forgiven for thinking it looks very similar to something we've already had on the orange retro card, as we did get a black costume variant of her Jim Lee look, which yes is a callback to what Toy Biz did in the 90s as well, but also just a general conversation that happened in the 90s regarding what colour her costume was. Some people thought it was white, black, silver. You couldn't really tell with the illustration. So Hasbro and even Toy Biz gave us the option. And the only disappointing thing here is that they seem to be using the same head, which is a bit of a shame, as you would expect something different for the Outback era. But we will investigate. So there is that version. Today we're focused on this, and that Outback costume is something we needed to get one step closer to completing the team, but we're not there yet. We've got Storm Lightning Blasts on the side. On the back of the box we get the digital render, the stencil, and the write-up that says, from their new headquarters in the Australian Outback, Storm leads the X-Men using her mutant weather-controlling abilities to combat foes against Professor Xavier's dream of mutants coexisting with humans. So without further ado, let's get all the Storms out for a comparison, head swaps, all that good stuff. Let's get her open. So here we have Storm out of the packaging with those accessories on the table, and I say that loosely as she only comes with different hands. You've got the expressive hands on her, then you've got fisted hands, and then at least we have some effects, but I still think this is a missed opportunity to give us a new head sculpt. Storm has so many different hairstyles in the comics, and she wears this costume a few times with different hairstyles as well, so a different head would have been very much appreciated, but unfortunately not the case. In regards to height, she will go to just under 6.5 inches to the top of her hair. And yeah, she does look good. It is an Outback era version of Storm. I would have just appreciated a different head sculpt to one we've already got. But the costume is double jointed and pinless, which we always appreciate. And this material on her, which I know a lot of people don't like, this isn't attached to her hands anymore. It's just loose and attached to the back. So that is the shape of that. Again, it's that soft sort of material. I know people don't like it. Again, I understand if you're going to give us soft goods, give us a bendy wire, give us something for posability and displaying. So I definitely understand people's frustrations with this flimsy material, whatever it is. But yeah, otherwise, let's take a closer look before we get into comparisons. And even though we've seen that head sculpt multiple times before, let's check it out anyway. And although we've had this head sculpt before, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad head sculpt. I actually quite like this for Storm. I just don't need duplicates amongst the display, if that makes sense, especially for a character like Storm who has so many unique looks. But here we have it. So you've got the earrings with the little lightning bolts, which I always appreciated on both sides. You've got the dark red lips, and then you've got her whited out eyes to sort of demonstrate controlling the weather, of course. And the difference between this one and the previous one is we're using the digital face printing tech instead of the paint. And then otherwise it is the same white hair sculpt that we've seen. That does have a bit of black wash or some grey wash to it to bring out all that sculpted detail. If I zoom out a little bit, you can see it does run down the back. But yeah, it is the same hair sculpt that we have seen before on the same face that we have seen before. So I'll throw up a quick side-by-side between this head sculpt and the previous time we got this, probably on that black suited Storm in the Jim Lee. So you can see for yourself. It's the same one, just different deco applied. Back to the white then to take a closer look at Storm and this very nice black costume with the gold trim. I just wanted to mention though, the head is on a dumbbell, which means the head is a little bit top heavy. So it keeps like drooping in areas because the head obviously has a big chunk of plastic with the hair. So yeah, it will obviously articulate and whatnot, but it just seems to drop out of position annoyingly. So yeah, a little bit of a top heavy head, just thought I'd mention it. But in regards to the costume, the main event of course is this lightning bolt that is sculpted across the chest and torso, and it is very nicely done as well, from the top of the collar across the chest there, then across the torso, and then it attaches to the belt, which is done in this very nice gold metallic, and it is sculpted to touch as well. All of that is sculpted within the actual torso, and then again it attaches the belt, and you can see the gold continues all the way around, and it does match the trim pretty well, to be fair. Of course, plastic and material, it's going to be very hard to get a bang on match, but I think they've done a decent enough job at matching that together. It does complement it very well with that trim. But then otherwise, the costume is just all black. It's all black. There are a few uniquely sculpted lines up top here. These shoulder pads definitely seem new. Let me know if they're reused, if we've seen them somewhere else in the Legends line, but they definitely have that late 80s flair about them. But they do not hinder the articulation by any means. The arm will still go all the way up to 90. There is a bicep swivel, and then you get the very nice double jointed pinless elbows, which we always appreciate seeing on these females. And I don't think we've had too many Storms with that range either, so I do appreciate that. You've got the wrist cuffs as well, but they are in black, so they're hard to notice. Again, a few unique lines, but otherwise the legs are all bare. You've got the double jointed pinless knees on the legs as well. Let's articulate them, shall we? Can she kick her own butt? Yeah, if you squeeze it enough, she will. You've got the swivel at the top of the thigh as well, of course, ankle pivot and rocker, and the legs go pretty far forward, like there's no complaints on that. I do think you'll get Storm in some great poses on a flight stand, undoubtedly. But again, just watch that head, it does topple a little bit. And even though you can't pose this because there's no bendy wire within the seams, it still like flares out and looks decent enough on a display, just static like so. But again, I fully appreciate that people might want to customize this. And there are options too, because if I spin it around, initially I thought it was glued in. But if I take her head off for a second, you will see here it's not actually glued in at all. It's actually attached by an elastic band that goes through the shoulder joints. So if I zoom in here and just give this a little bit of a pull, can you see there that it's an elastic band that goes through the shoulder straps? If it will focus, you can see, there you go, there's a gap. So it's, yeah, an elastic band that attaches to this material, and then it seems to go through the shoulder joints. But it doesn't hinder the articulation by any means, and you can't see, like it doesn't wrap around each shoulder individually like a backpack. It literally just seems to be one piece of plastic, elastic band, sorry, that goes through the joint. So yeah, interesting way. So if you wanted to customize this and remove this, just cut that and pull it out, and you've got a completely undamaged base body for Storm, which I think people will appreciate. But again, if you're not into that, it will still flare out a little bit, and yeah, you can make it work. In regards to accessories, like I mentioned, it is just interchangeable hands. So you get these flared out hands we've seen many times before. You also get a set of fisted hands as well. But more interestingly, you get these effect hands, which we have seen before in the Legends line. I think we've seen them with yellow and with blue. They always portray electric in those two different colours. I think yellow would have complemented her outfit a little bit better with the gold, but I will take the blue. Let's zoom in on one of these. So again, it's just translucent plastic that is a sort of attached to the fingers, but it does the job, doesn't it? It does look like electric is coming out of her fingers, or lightning in this occasion, and I don't mind them at all. Again, it's just a soft plastic. Very nice, and again, it works for Storm's ability. Absolutely it does, and it just helps. I like it when you can display a figure on a shelf and they can display their power sets. So yeah, this absolutely works for Storm. She's controlling that lightning and zapping somebody. So let's cock ourselves up a Storm and get into a comparison, shall we? So we've got lots of Storms, but on the table first, just all of the ones wearing the black costumes. Now, she has white hair, which always makes it very difficult to show off on a white background. So I'm just going to throw my blue in real quick, and you guys are definitely not seeing the struggle behind the scenes of me trying to get all of these to stand next to each other without toppling over. See, she heard me. She bloody heard me, and she wanted to embarrass me here on YouTube. Stand up. I'm usually praising the double jointed pinless knees, but she definitely stands better than this one. But here we have like This is the giant size X-Men when she first joined the team, and I think this Mohawk version, correct me if I'm wrong, but is the one that predates the Outback look. So I might try that Mohawk head on this body, but I don't think that would be accurate either still. And again, you could swap those two heads because they're the same, but I think the tiara on this head is very unique for this particular outfit. So yeah, we'll do a couple of head swaps. Let's first just try the old head sculpt on this new body for anyone who doesn't like the digital face printing tech. That's how it looks. And now let's try the Mohawk on this new body as well. So you can see it pops on no problem, does give her a unique look, but I'm not too sure how accurate it is. Here we have the rest of our Marvel Legends Storms, and yes, I've even destroyed the display to show off the uncanny X-Men Storm before some smart ass writes in the comments, and no, I'm not including her because technically she's a different character from a different universe, etc. Here we have the original Jim Lee Storm that was on the orange retro card as well. We've got the VHS version with the cel shading and the very nice animated head, and then as I said, the uncanny version as well. And you guys probably watch these videos thinking, oh, it takes Dan 15 minutes to film a review. YouTube's easy. It's took me 15 minutes behind the scenes just to get this version of Storm to stand. Good riddance to jelly-legged females. Honestly, I hate those pinned female legs. Thankfully, I can put Storm on a flight stand in the display. But here we have our new Outback Storm. Compared to the rest, as you can see, she definitely has her place in the collection. Now, in regards to head swaps here, I think the uncanny one may be accurate to one era where she was wearing that costume with the short hair. Let's try it. So the comic historians out there that linger on my comment section, is this short-haired Storm accurate to the Outback costume? I swear there's an era where she has this costume and short hair. She might have short back and sides, I can't quite remember. But does that work? Would that be an accurate representation of Storm for our display? You tell me. And I'm sure somebody wanted to see it, so here you go. This is the animated VHS Storm head on this body. And again, I think this is one of the better Storm head sculpts anyway, and it works on most of your Storms. So yeah, this one works really well. Again, very top heavy, and she doesn't have the whited out eyes, which is always a nice touch as well. So yeah, all of the head sculpts, by the way, none of them match the skin tone correctly, but you can't really tell when you've got her posed up. But yeah, just be wary of that skin tone match if that's the type of thing that bugs you. Oh, and here is the X-Men 97 version of Storm as well, before somebody points out I missed her. Nope, she is here. Let's try a head swap. There you go. Again, a very nice head sculpt, but I'm not too sure how accurate that hairstyle is to this particular costume. And she has the more animated style sort of face as well, but it does work in a comic display. Of course it does. So yeah, again, the neck doesn't match the skin tone perfectly, but there you go. Let me know in the comments, does that work? Moving away from Storm comparisons to the next thing that I think people would be interested in seeing is how close are we to completing an accurate Outback X-Men team in the Marvel Legends line? Because we do have some pieces, but unfortunately we're still missing pieces as well. So let me throw up some images on the screen so you can see for yourself who the Outback X-Men team is. This was a short-lived era in the late 80s where the X-Men had a hideout in the Australian Outback. That's why they're called the Outback team, and they were fighting the Reavers. There's lots of iconic comic panels that come out of this really good story, especially involving Wolverine, etc. And we do have some character designs that are accurate to that time in the Marvel Legends line. I think Longshot, Dazzler and Havoc are all pretty accurate in the Marvel Legends line to that particular era. We also have a brown suited Wolverine, of course. This is the Secret Wars one, or maybe you could use the upcoming X-Men 97 version if you wish. Of course, we now have Storm in her accurate look as well. We still need a different version of Colossus with his top off. That could sort of double up as a giant size version of Colossus as well, potentially, but definitely need a new Colossus. I think the next one we're getting is Astonishing though, unfortunately, so we may have to be waiting a little bit longer for that. And before you jump to the keyboard, I can see your fingers twitching. Step away from the keyboard. Yes, I know this is the inaccurate version of Rogue. This is her Jim Lee look, which happens after the Outback era. Well, unfortunately, I don't have the Marvel Legend that is accurate, which we do have. It's in her green and black look. We did get that a couple of years ago, the same time we got the uncanny versions of the X-Men. For some reason, I just never got it. I never picked her up. I just missed it. It's one of those I need to backtrack on. So yes, step away from the keyboard. I am very aware that this is the inaccurate Rogue. We need the green version that I just don't have. So I can't show you that comparison, but I was just showing you the character of Rogue is in this team. But the biggest piece that we are missing from the Outback era is potentially one of my most wanted Marvel Legends now moving into 2026. It is Betsy Braddock Psylocke before she went into that Asian body. This is in her armor that Wolverine gave her in the Outback era as well, in her pink sort of outfit and the purple armor. Honestly, we need an Outback era Psylocke. Make it happen. Has to in 2026. She's a big missing piece to this team. Otherwise, you can sort of fudge it. So just to recap, these are all the costumes that I think are accurate in the Marvel Legends line. Ignore the posing, I've literally just took them off the display. But we've got brown suited Wolverine, Havoc, Dazzler and Longshot, both of them from the Mojo 2-pack. All of these costumes are accurate to that late 80s Outback vibe. Of course, I need to backtrack on the Green Rogue. We need a Betsy, and then we need an updated Colossus as well. But we're closer to the finish than we are to the start. So I hope you appreciate me absolutely destroying my display for the sake of a comparison. But here we are, as I've taken all the Reavers out of my display to pose up with this Outback era Storm who I've got on the flight stand. So we've got Lady Deathstrike, with the Bonebreaker Build-A-Figure. We've got Pretty Boy who came in that Villains 5-pack. And then we've got Bonebreaker twice because he did come with an interchangeable Reese head who is a separate character. And they wear similar outfits. You can see I've sort of doubled up my Bonebreaker with the crossbone sort of style armor just to make them look a little bit unique from each other. But yeah, there are still a few Reavers out there we could get. But this is still a pretty nice team to have up against your Outback era X-Men. And then here we have Storm next to all the other X-Men retro cards that were exclusive to Target if you're in America, with Professor X, Weapon X, Jean Grey missing those boots still, and then Mystique as well. Let me know in the comments if this was an actual wave that all came out at the same time. Would it have been received well? Would this have been considered a strong or a weak wave? Again, usually a wave is 6, so is there one more X-Men retro card out there just lingering, still to be revealed before the year is over? There's still a few months left. Let's find out. Now, I think I've done the main one, so let's just rattle off some more comparisons with some figures I've got laying around from previous reviews. Here we have Nightcrawler, Cable, Danny Moonstar, and Destiny for no reason at all. And here we have some of the X-Men 97 Marvel Legends with Gambit, Rogue, Wolverine, and Cyclops. Here we have Captain America and Iron Man. Here we have Black Widow and the Maximum Series Spider-Man. Here we have Deadpool, but more interestingly, that is the battle-damaged Spider-Man from the Magic the Gathering collaboration. Go and check out my full review of that on the channel right now. Yeah, that will do. Let's wrap up with some of the Who crew. Hey, that rhymed. Here's Frogman, Tigra, and Jeff. And then last but never least, here we have Captain Britain and Hal, Fire, Hank. So, final thoughts on this Marvel Legends X-Men retro carded Target exclusive Outback Storm. Now remember, it is only an exclusive if you are in a place that has Targets. I do not, so she is here right now. And I both like this figure and have my frustrations, as I do appreciate getting those costume designs that are accurate to these mini sub-teams within our overall collection. But it's a shame when they just lazily reuse other pieces. So we've literally seen that head sculpt at least 3 times already, and it's not even the right hair for this look for Storm. So again, it's a little bit frustrating because otherwise the costume is accurate and it's on a pinless, double jointed body. Like, I ain't really got any complaints about that. Just the lazy reuse of that head is just frustrating more than anything. But we are getting close to completing the Outback team. Again, it's a short-lived story, but I think a lot of people remember it very fondly. And we now just need Betsy in her armor, which is definitely one of the most wanted. And I need to go back and get Rogue, don't I? And then also a Colossus as well. But we're getting closer. But let me know, are you interested in the Outback team and completing it? Or is that just not your version of the X-Men? Because that's absolutely allowed as well. Or maybe you just like the costume, because it is still a nice, simple costume that's nostalgic for some. As remember, Toy Biz did it back in Wave 1 30 plus years ago. So you let me know what you think in the comments below with this. What do you think of the whole Target X-Men retro cards this year in general? At least she has an accurate costume and she's not missing the boots, am I right? If you like Marvel Legends, you are in the right place. Check out the videos tab, find the playlist, but most importantly, please hit that subscribe button, hit all on the notification bell, don't miss out on a video, and please hit that join button, become a channel member, either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. I tell you all the time, but honestly, join the channel and you get to be a part of the channel. It is that simple. Follow me on Instagram at It's Dan Who, and I'm on X as well at Dan Who Reviews. I always post when I'm going live. Hopefully see you on a live stream, but until then, I will of course see you on the next one.